This is an important video because I should write a book about the Intermountain Indian School. We talk about the Carlisle School, but nobody talks about this one in Brigham City, Utah. And so my mom used to work here. I spent a lot of time here as a kid. I know a lot of the history. So this was the Bushnell Hospital, the military hospital after World War I. After World War I, you know, they gassed the shit out of those troops, and so many troops came back just shaking and just messed up, as you know. This is where they treat them at the Bushnell Hospital right here. So they turned it in, the Indian Affairs turned it into the Intermountain Indian School. That's the I. And it was an assimilation program for Navajo. Now this is Shoshone land. Yeah, Navajo, that's a long ways away on the other end of the state. So I got a lot of great stories, but there used to be, I'll start off, there was a bricklaying school in here. There was also, for the Navajos, there was also a furniture factory that was being exploited. Glenn Meekum, yeah, that Glenn Meekum from Ogden had it. My mom was, you know, I knew him good, long story, but anyway, the furniture factory they made for, I have two pristine Navajo made couches in my house that they were in my grandmother, Abraham Hutsaker, Ella Potter's basement for all the years. So they belong in a museum. So I'll start with this. I knew the chief. I knew him pretty well. And so as you drove into Brigham City, you know, this was the highway before. The freeway wasn't here. So everybody drove across here. There's a giant building right here. And the giant facade, brick facade, he had painted an eagle on it. It was magnificent. It was one of the great iconic pieces of art in America. He painted, the famous artist. So when they closed the Intermountain Indian School, they were going to, I'm like, look. So Mike Wakely, my close friend, who I grew up with, who just passed away of cancer. The irony of this story is because we and he ran track together, blah, and I'll tell that story. That's where they learned to lay brick. How his family line. A lot of the bricklayers were of Navajo descent, and they're great, craftsmen. So we went to him. We'll say, we'll take it brick by brick apart. Leave the facade. We'll put it up anywhere you want. We'll reassemble it brick by brick. You know, we'll save this painting, this magnificent. We'll do it for free. You know, people who learned how to lay brick in this thing's descendants and themselves. I'm Abraham Hunsaker, the fourth grandson. Wait till you see that. I was spending the day here doing some videos, you know, with the cemetery and well, I'm down on Main Street doing, what do I see? Sure shit, the cops pulling a nightstick on some kid. That's Brigham City, right? So they tore it down and threw it in the dumps. People don't know about this. So I spent a lot of time in here when I was a kid. And the Navajo, oh my God, they were such good looking people in those era. You know, they've been poisoned by this, like we've all been poisoned. We all look like hell anymore, our food chain, everything, our culture, it's a nightmare. So the boys and the girls with the strong, perfect, long hair, that is Navajo, and it's as beautiful as it gets. And I was in here all the time. I was so fascinated. And then, of course, Peach Days. Peach Days, all the tribes would dance. And take your breath away in those eras. I mean, the real dances, the real great ones that have all been lost. I mean, all 5 tribes would dance. From Utah, not to mention the tribes from Idaho used to come. So you'd have like 10, 15 tribes. You'd have, the Bannock, we fight back. You'd have the Blackfoot, the Shoshone, the Navajo, the Utes, the Goshute. All of them. It was so incredible. It was stunning, actually. It was breathtaking. So I'm a kid. I'm a track guy. I'm a good half miler. I'm a little guy. You know, and my track coach at Walquist Junior High was Gary Reed. Love that guy. He was a good history teacher and science teacher too. So he's like, Kevin, how come you don't want to run in the meets? You come to track practice every day. You're our number one half miler. I'd say, I'm not ready. You know, let the ninth graders, I'll take over in the ninth grade. I was eighth grader. I was still kind of immature, you know, kind of not sure of myself. And he's like, no, you're the best, man. You need to get running a meet. No, I'm not going to run. No, I'm not ready to run in a meet yet. I'm not. You know, I was an eighth grader. I was the artist. I did the phone book. I did the yearbook covers, everything. And I was, you know, really not sure of myself yet. And he helped me with my self-confidence. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I want to teach you kids a lesson about the Intermountain Indian School. And I says, oh, I know about it. My grandparents live here. My grandpa's Abraham Hunsaker IV. He says, really? Yeah, my mom works there, you know. And so he brought the whole track team. We raced right here. So he says, Kevin, you're going to race. It's a non-sanctioned meet. You know, there's not even going to be any crowd in here. So I just want to see how you can do with the crowd. So all the half milers, the ninth, and I ran with the Navajo boys. I'll never forget this. It stands out in my life. It's just a picture that will burn through my brain for the rest of my life. And I've been a lot of places and done a lot of things. So we take off, and there's a Navajo boy. He's just going. I'm like, we're going a half mile. It wasn't called the 880 then. It was a half mile. And I'm like, he's got to think that we're going a 440. He can't be going at that pace. You know, and I'm going at a good clip. And I was a good stalker, and I knew to keep within daylight. And I'm like, let him go. He's going to burn out. I'm stalking, and he's just going further. I'll never forget that long, perfect hair in the wind, just blowing. I'll never forget it. It was so beautiful. It was stunning. And he just keeps going, and I pick up the pace, and he keeps going faster. But I pick up the pace. We're both daylighting the field. I mean, he's so far ahead of me, it's unbelievable. He doesn't stop. And I'm like, holy shit. Gary Reed comes over to me, and he says, Kevin, here, look. There's your time. He says, that's the county record you just set. He says, that's your best time you've ever run. And you don't want to run into me? I'm like, whoa. I says, what did he run? He says, look at that time. He ran under 2 minutes and we're eighth graders. I'm like, oh. I says, that's the state record in high school. Yeah. And Gary looks right at me and he says, but it doesn't count. What do you mean it doesn't count? They're Navajos. And he says, he says, I hate that word, Indian. I says, yeah, I know about that word. They're not from India. You know, I knew all about the culture they raised me in this school. I spent so much time in here. I loved it. The murals on the wall. Oh, I loved it. It was shocking to them. For them to be busted up here and these kids, it was shocking. I don't know. So many of them look like deer in headlights. Here's get on a bus. Let's drive you 300 miles and put you in a dorm and in a school. You know, Carlisle school. You know, and it lasted for a while, and then it was over. I will never forget that. And then, of course, into ninth grade I go. And I would tell that story to every single, including Ed Eyestone himself, because he ran at T.H. Beller South, and I ran for Walkwest in ninth grade. Me and him would go at it. I mean, and who knew, you know, he was so incredible. You know, me and him would go at it in the halves all the time. But Gary retired. And so I got a guy named Lamar Hershey. I'll never forget this. And he pulls me and puts me on the medley relay. You know, I just run at the Andy, the big meet at BYU. I think I ran fifth in the country. And, you know, with that hard valve. I'm like, well, what are you doing? And he put me on the medley relay. I'm like, what? But Mike Wakely ran that leg in front of me. You know, and I ran the last leg, and Mike was fast, but the two guys in front of us, the medley Mike ran the 440, I ran the 880, and you ran a 110, a 220, a 440, and 880. The two guys in front of us that ran the 110 and the 220 were horrid. We were so far behind, it was ridiculous. And here come Mike, get us back in contention. Then I'd go. You know, and we won. You know, Mike had handed me the baton. And I couldn't figure out why he did that to me. You know, and it really, I had trouble with my self-confidence anyway. And Coach Rita and I, like, after that, I didn't even want to run at Weaver High. You know, going against Ed Eyestone. And I was good, really good. But I didn't find out till years later, the guy that he put up was an 8th grader in front of me, Lamar Hershey. I hate that guy. I really hate that guy. He, come to find out, and it was his brother-in-law. He was married to his sister. And the brother-in-law that I'm talking about, I think he's in prison right now for meth. You know, I didn't find that out till many, many years later. I was so pissed. But, you know, that's what they do. What do you think they did to these Navajo young people? So I could write a whole book on this. But the facade, I spent so much time here. I mean, they were so beautiful. It was incredible. What artists. Oh, my God, what artists. And my mom, you're talking Margie Hunsaker, the pinup artist, my mother. And she would say that they're the best, right? I've never seen it. You know, and so this is what we do. This is what we do. You know, and again, Brigham City was started as an experiment by Brigham Young as the Hunsaker Mill. My grandpa's 8 the 4th. As an experiment in German communism, 100% redistribution of wealth. When when they settled Brigham City, the Mormons here, you didn't get a check. It went to the Hunsaker Mill and redistributed through the Bishop's Warehouse. That's an unarguable. They did the same thing in St. George. To this, you know, it's such a beautiful place too, and so repressive. You'll see in the other video. I put a video. I mean, I'm just shooting some videos. Want to get some videos of the beautiful downtown because I'm up here on Memorial Day. I see just a young kid walking around. Cops pulled up, got a nightstick on him. Out of nowhere. I'm like, what? What? Call him back up, and I'm like, that's the Brigham City I remember. So repressive. So, I wanted to get this up. I got to tell this story. So my niece gets married in Logan recently. Before Margie Hunsaker, my mother, who's just recently passed away. Passed away 5 years ago. Christmas Eve, the same time I had the heart attack and almost died. We're driving home from Logan, the wedding. We're right there. And I'm driving her car, and she's very old. And boom! A golf ball hits the windshield. Almost goes all the way through. I'm like, what the hell? So I drive over here to the golf course. I'm like, what the hell? And this guy goes, God, I'm the one that did her. I'm so sorry. I mean, I says, that's got to be one of the worst golf shots in history. Yeah. I'll take care of it. I'll pay for it. Blah, blah, insurance, blah, blah, blah. No problem about it. I mean, just the whole irony of the whole thing. So there used to be some trees right there at the mouth, right at the fork. You go up Sardine. And there were Russian olives. They're not native. Russian olives are not native in here, but there was cool trees, and for some reason they'd grown down and grown flat right along the ground with trunks on them about that. So cool. They were like my favorite trees. They cut them out. But what did they do to the facade here? And anybody's from Brigham that's older can remember. You know, they had the furniture. I have 2 couches. You know, they need to be in a museum, but what museum? Where? Who? You know, in fact, Abraham Hunsaker's piano that he come across it in things, it's in the historical, right next to the Capitol. You know, this is Hunsakerville, Honeyville. My grandpa's 8 to 4. You know, the pit's right there. Right. So, it's disgusting. We offered to do it for free, and Mike has just recently passed away of cancer. You know, we grew up together out there in Western Weaver County, so I wanted to get this up on the Intermountain Indian School. Spend my day up here, and I know why I don't come up here. Because I saw what the cops did to that young kid just now. It's so repressive. Always was. You know, it's beautiful, but it's always been that way here. So, the Intermountain Indian School. There's your history lesson. Stay tuned.